What's up everyone, Mark here. Welcome to the Prepared Pantry. Today we are doing ice cream again. So with Thanksgiving behind us, it's almost December. It's time to start thinking about the holidays. There are two kinds of people in the world. Those who love eggnog and those who lack a soul or any true happiness in their lives. If you're among the first group, then you would love yourself a bowl of eggnog ice cream. The great thing about eggnog ice cream is there's one ingredient, eggnog. Premium eggnog. You want to use full-fat premium eggnog. Here in the Northeast, that means Hood Golden Eggnog by H.P. Hood out of Massachusetts. Wherever you live, at least in the U.S., there is likely a premium local regional dairy that makes a premium eggnog around the holidays. That is the one that you want to go for. So the great thing is that this is already a custard base. In fact, the other two ice creams that we have made in the past, you can catch those videos if you haven't seen them already, are primarily just milk. There was no eggs, there was no cooking, anything, just straight up mixing and whipping and freezing. This, on the other hand, does have eggs in it, so it's actually a little bit closer to a real ice cream custard base than anything that we've made up until now. So it's super simple to make. Just like the other ice creams, even more so. One ingredient, we are going to put a little bit of nutmeg in there too, just for extra flavor. And we're going to do a couple of things to kind of dress it up a little bit in the end. Before we get started, I want to thank you all again so much for continuing to support the channel and watch these videos. Please give the video a thumbs up if you like it, and do subscribe if you haven't already. Click the red button down below or the watermark over in the corner, and when you do, make sure you hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time I have a new video out. All right, let's go get this done. So again, this could not be simpler. We are going to start with 3 cups of premium eggnog. You do want to use premium eggnog. Again, use full fat premium eggnog. Don't try to use light eggnog or anything that's too thin or doesn't have enough fat. You want something that's going to whip up nicely and freeze nicely, and this will do it. We have a pinch of nutmeg. For a little bit of a topping to go on the ice cream later, we have a cup of heavy cream. We're going to use a couple of drops of peppermint extract and a tablespoon of powdered or confectioner's sugar, and we're just going to whip that up to make a little bit of a lightly mint flavored topping. So all we're going to do here is add our eggnog to the blender. Whoa, 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 stop the clock. This isn't going to work. This was never going to work. I don't know why I even proceeded with it. It should have been blindingly obvious from the beginning. So let me take a step back. In deciding which method to use today to make ice cream, I decided to go with one of the two quick and easy methods that I'd used in the past, and that was the blender method. Whip it up in the blender, freeze it, done. The problem is that recipe was intended to be used where you whip the cream, or you whip part of the liquid, and you fold it in with the rest of the liquid and freeze that. This was not that. It's not the same thing trying to whip eggnog in the blender as it is to whip whipping cream in the blender and then use that whipped cream with something else. So instead, we're going to go back to the bowl of ice method that you may remember from the first ice cream video that we did, where we made mint chocolate chip. This time we're just going to use the straight eggnog. So we've got our bowl full of ice, enough to envelop another bowl when we insert it inside. I'm going to add a liberal amount of kosher salt. This helps melt the ice and get frozen ice temperature liquid flowing around and getting things super cooled. Again, the ingredients here are the same. We are still using 3 cups of eggnog, and we're going to be using a pinch of ground nutmeg. So let's get our bowl nestled in. We'll add our eggnog. All right, so similar to the first time we did the ice cream this way, we're just going to beat this with a hand mixer for a good 8 to 10 minutes, honestly, until it is nice and fluffed up. It's not going to be quite like whipped cream, but it should be a much more fluffy, aerated consistency. Okay, so we went for about 10 minutes with this, and it's definitely a lot lighter and more airy than it was, but it's still a pretty liquidy consistency. We're going to park this whole thing in the freezer for about an hour. We don't want it to go too much longer than that, or it'll start to freeze a little bit too firmly. And then we're going to come back at it with the beaters again. Now, depending on the consistency of your eggnog and how this goes, this may be a process that we need to repeat another 1 or 2 times before we do our final freezing. But again, for now, this is going to go into the freezer for about an hour. We're going to come back and hit it with the beaters again. Okay, we're back, and the mixture has been in the freezer now for an hour. We're going to continue beating it until we get to the consistency we're looking for. As you're mixing, especially the second time, you want to make sure you're really getting in there to the edges and scraping off anything that's frozen to the side. This is pretty good for now. This is maybe a little more loose than soft serve. This might be about ready to freeze. I'm going to put it back in the freezer for about 20 minutes to a half hour. I'm going to check on it, make sure it's not getting too solid. I'm going to come back and mix it, I think, one more time, and then we're going to be ready to put this into containers to freeze it solid. All right, we're ready to give this one more mix. First, I'm finally going to put in the pinch of nutmeg. I didn't want to put it in too early while it was still liquid, because I didn't want it to kind of settle at the bottom and not be able to be reincorporated by the mixing. But at this point, it's definitely thick enough and on its way to being frozen enough that that is not going to be a problem. So we're going to just kind of mix this until smooth. A couple of minutes is really all it should take. All right, you can kind of see that that time it did just sort of deflate almost right away. That's the ice crystals kind of breaking up the pockets of air that have formed in there. So I think we're ready to get this into some containers. Now, it is pretty much soft serve at this point. You could eat it now if you wanted to, but we're going to freeze this for about 3 or 4 hours, I think, to get it as firmed up as we're going to get it. I could let it go overnight. That wouldn't be a problem. And then we will get to tasting. Once I get this in the freezer, I'm going to come back and we're going to make up some whipped cream for the finished product. All right, so while the ice cream is freezing through for a few hours, we're going to go ahead and make some sweetened whipped cream to go as a topping on top of our ice cream. So I know I mentioned putting some peppermint extract in this earlier. I'm actually opting not to do that after all. We're just gonna make this straight sweetened whipped cream with a cup of heavy cream and a tablespoon of confectioner's sugar. And I've actually got another little add-on that we're gonna do at the very end. You'll have to wait until the end of the video to see what that ends up being. But for now, we're going to just go ahead and whip our cream. And you can use a whisk, you can use a hand mixer. For me, just whipping a small amount of cream like this, I find the blender is the easiest way. I have a blender that's capable of it. Not all blenders can necessarily do this, so be warned. Should be more than enough. Yep, that will do it. We don't want it too dry and stiff. We just want to be able to put a nice little dollop of this on the top of our bowl of ice cream. So I'm going to go ahead, put this in a bowl and set it aside until we're ready later on. All right, the ice cream has been freezing for about 6 hours now, so we should have waited more than long enough. We have our sweetened whipped cream, a little bit of ground nutmeg for the top, and lastly, crushed up candy canes, just for a little bit of extra color and pop and a little mint flavor. We're going to take a scoop or two of this delicious ice cream. We'll do a little dollop of whipped cream. A little sprinkle of nutmeg. Of course, a couple of pieces of candy cane, and let's give this a taste. It's amazing. I kind of wish you could get eggnog all year. Although, you can make ice cream with it and have the ice cream all year. How about some eggnog ice cream in July? I could easily eat this whole container. All right, well, at the risk of standing here, continuing to eat eggnog ice cream with nothing else to say, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.